coming back to me, one of the very key first steps we've got to do is talk about the stats that we've chosen for this particular game. Now, I think before we do, I think we need to make some golden rules, some parts that are also critical for design process. You'll notice we use this a lot. There are certain principles that you want to follow. Stats are a great starting point because from a design point of view, it's a lot of what the mechanics are going to be built on. We mustn't lose sight of the fact that what we're really doing here today, and a starting process that these videos will be, is we're targeting what I call the 30% of enjoyment. So what we're trying to do, and that's a huge piece. I mean, a lot of people talk about, we can talk about how much the players' involvement in and the DM, and we've had these conversations. But if you think about a campaign, we'll spend a lot of time on YouTube discussing campaigns, which actually is a very small part of the enjoyment. But the bigger part, of course, is the RPG itself. So what an opportunity to explore that 30% and make the best one that we can as a collective group. Just thought I'd share that with you. Let's talk about the stats. The stats we're going to use are as follows. And don't worry about the maths that we're going to apply. A lot of the maths I'm going to talk about here tonight are simple. They have to be, because we've got to appeal to both camps. We've got to appeal to the old as well as the new and find that middle ground. So, stats are, 3 of them are fairly obvious. That's strength, manipulation, which is really about the person's manipulation, ability to manipulate their hands, the body, that sort of thing. Not about speed. Come on to that. And IQ I've used instead of the word intelligence. It's splitting hairs, but they'll do just well. Now, there's 2 new ones that really are intriguing. Attunement, I think, is a fantastic word, particularly with the theme of the game that I've chosen. Attunement's very useful. It's good for when we want to put words in like, imagine like culture of the Red Indian tribes. The attunement, the affinity with nature or magic, that sort of thing really springs home to me really well. And I do want a highly magical game, but I want to create a magical game that's so simple to pick up and play with the greatest amount of flexibility. Again, another holy one, a gold one that I want to try and create. So we'll talk about that as those steps unfold. And finally, luck. Now, you'll notice if you think about those first 5, we've got strength, manipulation, attunement, IQ and luck. I have not mentioned charisma. So this is another one of the big points here. Why? Well, I think personally speaking that a lot of modern games, it's going to be a compromise, but a lot of modern games rely very heavily on that influence for pulling things off, like bluff, intimidate, that sort of thing in a lot of modern games. Well, we used to roleplay those things. I'd like to bring that back. I think it's critically important that we make that a focus. Now, you might disagree with me. And that's the point. I would like people to discuss that. Do they think we need charisma in a game like this? So have a think about that. It's certainly something to discuss. I don't think we do. But it might be a caveat, if I may use that word, to something we have as an optional set of rules that we put in. So it could also be there to bridge the middle ground. But personally speaking, let's let people try to role-play the game. That's what it was based on, the principles of that. Let's bring that into this system. My thoughts. And of course, the luck. I'm a real believer that all of us have a finite amount of luck. At some point it'll run out. I think it's just the way of life. And I just like the idea that the luck stat can, deplete and just never replenishes, and eventually it just runs out. There's just something in that that's quite elegant in itself. I've seen it used in some other systems very well. I'd like your thoughts around it. So have a think about that too. What do you think? Now, let's talk about the sort of simple formulas that a system will be built off. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. I mean, let's keep this very simple. We know that we're going to be modelling this on some traditional RPGs. So let's make pretty much the bell curve from 3 to 18. Let's not really overthink this. But let's think about the process of rolling up, what that would entail. And I have a thought process around that again is open for discussion. And that's as simply follows as this. Let's, to please the more modern camp, but still keep the old types, myself included, happy, let's do this. So let's allow people to choose which stat they want to roll, and for their favourite stat, the one that is primary to them, they get to roll 5d6, taking the best 3, so 5 dice down, discard the 2 lowest and keep the other 3. Then the second most important stat to them, 4d6, keep the best 3, and then the remaining stats, 3d6. I think that's elegant, it's simple, and I think, at the end of the day, you've had to decide what you're going to roll. So it could easily be that you roll 5d6 on, say, for example, strength, and it doesn't happen to be as good as one of the later rolls where you roll 3d6 for luck, and it was higher. That's the way the cookie crumbles. They are how you roll them, but you choose where you assign them. I like that. It's elegant, it's simple, it all please both camps. So, we've already got a formula running, we've got some stats neatly building, and we can now look at another factor. So this video tonight is going to be longer than the normal ones. They're going to have to be, because we're discussing some pretty big mechanics. So let us do that, and let's look at another part of this video.